Fixing about 50 Frankenstacks a year would be a really, really, really good goal, because that would mean that we are actually taking away the noise and the activity, cutting off the useless arms, and we are streamlining systems that actually make founders money, make their employees money, grow the economy, instead of resulting in burnout, because you will know that burnout among startup founders is huge, massive, because they just feel like they are just banging their head against a brick wall. When there is a solution, they just have to clear the clutter.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is the CMO Revenue Systems Architect of Elements Marketing Limited, Laura Farkas. They help B2B and tech founders decommission marketing activity and install revenue architecture. Laura, so excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here too.
Of course, yeah. We always like to ask our entrepreneurs, tell us more about your journey. What were you doing before that kind of led you into what you're doing today?
Well, to be honest, I was always a key marketer, even when it was not a big thing. I grew up in Hungary, and back then it was Iron Curtain and there was nothing about capitalism. But my mom, I remember my mom's boss was doing a marketing course, and she said, "Oh, I've got to find some good examples of advertisements." And I was sitting there about 7 years old. I said, "I can write it down for you." And I just gave her the lot. And I said, I really like this thing. But obviously, I trained to be a teacher until I realized I would have to stand in front of 30 kids talking about love poems. And I dropped the teaching subjects. I did journalism, which didn't work out because somebody decided to publish my work under their name because I was just an intern. So that didn't work out. So I went into marketing. So I think life was always pushing me towards marketing, really. So even during uni, I worked in marketing during my course, and I took a company I was about 20 when I started. I took them basically from the customer base grew by about 1,400% in 18 months. But that was just pure luck. I didn't even know what USP was back then. I was just learning about it. I was reading Google. At that point, I accidentally identified the USP of this company, which was in a very competitive market, printing companies. So back then, everyone was doing printing, everyone was doing direct mail, but no one could do what they could do, printing to the edge of the envelope, which was a main creative thing for agencies. So obviously I got promoted. I did that until I moved to England with my kids. And obviously when you move country, no one's going to give you a job in your industry because they will not. I worked in banking and I was so bored. I was so happy when they said, "We're closing this office. Do you want to work there or take the money?" I said, "Give me the money. I will go back to marketing and do something." So that's when I started freelancing. And that was another disappointment, because even though I learned everything about SEO, web design, social media, I just didn't see that I was making a difference. And I think loads of marketers can relate to this, that you can be the best copywriter, but if the user experience of the website is bad or the follow-up questions are bad. So I did freelance writing, I did freelance activities, and I was thinking, there's no point doing this. I mean, that company I'm working for as a freelancer, they are selling these articles for hundreds of dollars, and they are just going to a low-quality website for backlinks, and I can literally write them. I was writing articles, 500 words, 2 internal links, 2 external links, 2 images, completely sourced, 12.5 minutes. That was the quality expected of me. And I got angry, so I had to start my own agency. That's how it all started with Elements Marketing.
Interesting. That's usually how it starts for a lot of other entrepreneurs. They're just kind of tired of the lack of opportunities or nothing's in their control. So they decide to freelance or start their own agency. A lot of them work really hard. They're doing all these different tactics and strategies. Some of them become successful and then they build revenue, and some others don't. And that's exactly what you specialize in, is that revenue architecture, those systems. So tell me more about that system and what differentiates a successful B2B entrepreneur versus one who is not having any results.
I would definitely say that most of the businesses, when they start up, they just focus on activity. And instead of activity, they should be focusing on the ideal clients and the results. I have worked with so many businesses that were like almost like in a dreamland, saying, "Oh, this is what they told us to do, and we've got to post on this platform and that platform and that platform and that platform exactly at this time." And in my books, it's activity failure, because if you're not measuring what's happening and you're not recirculating that content and you're not focusing on the buyer intent, you can blow all the money your investors are giving you. It's still not going to work because the engine's not turning and there's no communication. The other thing I can see in the industry is that they buy into all these magic button tools. And most of the tools out there, I'm a fine one to speak. I was among the first 100 users of ScoreApp. I'm a ScoreApp implementation partner, active campaign partner, so I do love my gadgets. But if they don't work together and they don't feed data back to each other, it's absolutely pointless. And that's when customer service, follow-ups, sales teams actually become disconnected from the entire revenue engine. And that's why it's just never going to work unless you build a system first, instead of blowing 500 grand on ads on LinkedIn.
Right. Yeah. They're just trying to throw money at a problem and they're trying to attract more clients, but they get the leads in and then nothing is happening, or there's no follow up. They have maybe one meeting if they're lucky, and then the communication stops. There needs to be something that works, with the business and their
Exactly.
systems to be able to grow.
Yeah. And the problem is that people just look at, oh, there's a shiny new AI tool, and I will just plug it in. And it doesn't never work, like just plugging it in. And you and I know, Chris, that it's never going to work just plugging it in. And it's going to get the most important problem your users are facing. It's going to speak their language. It's going to talk about your USP. It's going to talk to your ideal clients. It's never working. So you're doing more damage than good by being lazy.
Yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, some of them are blind, or they just don't know better. It is the shiny object syndrome. They see something and they're distracted a little bit. We've all been there. I can understand it. And especially trying to plug and play certain tools. And you mentioned AI specifically. It's either a game changer for many businesses or they're not sure how to use it. How are you using AI, either for your business or the other businesses that you're helping?
Use AI 24/7, to be honest. I think I'm on every 3 months I've got to upgrade my computer because it just can't cope with the
You're
AI.
totally
Like you do need this memory, that memory. I use it as an external brain instead of a tool. And that's a massive difference. So, if we were to go back 1 year, I was actually still running the agency. Since then, I shifted into consultancy because I believe that I can do much more for businesses that way. But a year ago, I was actually blind, like legally blind completely. So I had an emergency cataracts and I had secondary cataract, and my right eye was hand movements only. So just imagine trying to work on websites like that. 90% of my brain capacity was taken up by correcting the picture or not bumping into stuff and everything else. So I literally had to create an external brain for myself to actually build a system. And that's how I built paternoster marketing system because I knew that I could not focus on the activity because it was impossible for me to stare at the computer for 7 hours because the maximum I could stare at it was an hour at a time. And then I needed a nap because I had such a migraine. I was forced into discovering AI and the capabilities and training them. Today, I do actually have an entire C-suite of AI agents. I do have a visibility assistant. I do have a marketing strategist. I've got a chief well-being officer, which is very important if you're running your own business and you're trying to stay level. I've got different agents running at the same time with the custom agents that I programmed. But what's interesting is that when I regained my eyesight, it was supposed to be a 5-minute surgery, but I was on the waiting list for a year. That's why it went that bad. I got all that brain capacity back, and I had so many thoughts in my head. It was just like a Ferrari stalling or redlining, literally. I had to download it somewhere, and it was my custom agent. And that's how I actually wrote the book in 3 months, because it was just building up. So I think if you use AI as almost like a strategic partner, a sounding board, or an external brain. So if you use your AI as an external brain, it's all going to go in one direction. So what I see people do is AI told me to do this, so I'm going a different direction than where I actually wanted to go. But it will never work. You need to be in the driving seat when you're using AI instead of just following it. That's what I find. I'm really interested in what you think, Chris.
Yes, some incredible tools that, already existed, but then incorporated AI, some that were built with AI, some that are just AI focused. So you have, a lot of different tools at our disposal, and to see the evolution of what AI tools are now capable of, it's a little bit scary, but also very cool, because as a business owner, I'm able to produce more and put out more. But that's only if you're using tools in the right way. The same for any other business. But to have agents out there, LLMs just running scripts, running actions. I have agents that are building and finalizing contracts on my behalf. I have agents who even took your podcast application form and ran it through our system to generate some titles, descriptions, and content for other systems. AI is definitely a tool. It's how you want to use it in your business, but it's different for everybody. Just because you have all the tools doesn't mean it's going to drive revenue. It can definitely help you save some time. But for us, I think that focus is always the revenue driver. I think business owners are like pulling their hair out, trying to figure out how to make more money and how to make more revenue. What's the biggest driver for growth for B2B founders? Because it's much different than local service businesses. I feel like it's more relationship focused. There's different channels and strategies. And I think, you could speak more on that to help entrepreneurs as well.
I would definitely say that for most of the businesses we work with are founder-led growth businesses. What I see is the founder, if they step out, it doesn't exist anymore. So business is not going to exist because there's no automations, there's no brand, there's no shared vision. Nobody else downloaded that mission that the founders got. And loads of them will actually burn out. While there is actually a better way when you can actually, and I know that AI agents can summarize every single situation. They can actually train your team. To be honest, handful of AI agents can actually replace a 50-person marketing team easy. I'm not even joking. I can see a lot of burnout when people say, yes, it's all on my shoulders. And I've been trying everything. And the other thing is I find that most founders suffer from something that Jim Quick calls the digital distraction. So when they just see all the different things they could do, especially if they've got ADHD traits. For some reason, I do work really well with ADHD founders. I don't know why. I don't consider myself ADHD, but I do work really well with them. So they find it really hard to focus on that one activity or pinpoint that one activity that's driving revenue. And that's where actually you look at the design and you look at what they've built, because even if they've got a big team that built loads of tools, it very often is something I call in the book the Frankenstack. So it's just disconnected tools that don't actually move in the same direction. They are not a part of the same machine and they are not talking to each other. Sales doesn't speak to marketing, branding, and the founders trying to get the message across, but everyone's going in a different direction. That's what I think that is the main challenge. And I think that the lack of recirculation is another issue. When the founder thinks that they've got to create content 24/7 or the world's going to stop, it's no longer true. It is not true. I mean, I created this revenue system, which means that the revenue is the intent multiplied by recirculation. If you can actually create the content, for example, write a book and then talk about it in a video, in a training, in a webinar. You can also create a white paper around it. You can create a couple of social media posts around it, and you can target people how they want to consume your content. You don't have to, with the use of AI agents, obviously, you no longer have to be sitting there creating content 24/7, but you can focus on the strategy, because that's what founders should be doing instead of being busy and taking part in the LinkedIn activity theater, which is also a phrase I use quite often. When you actually just have to be there, just need to be visible to drive growth, and you don't really. You absolutely don't. And I've seen it loads of very successful business owners, founders. Then Daniel Priestley, if you have a look at what he does, most of his content is leading back to the lead magnets he created years and years ago. He's just recirculating the same message. It's not that he's creating a new offer every month. He's not.
That is very well said, because a lot of business owners, we're getting pulled in many different directions. We're lacking clarity, and something new shows up and we want to change our strategy and our direction completely. We're going to have a few more questions for you, Laura, but in the meantime, where can people find you and connect with you online?
Guys, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I do have a LinkedIn newsletter as well, where I talk about things that other people don't talk about. For example, like 2024, I predicted the death of the medium-sized agencies. No one believed me. Now they do. So I do try to write quite a lot on there. You can also find quite a lot of downloads and tests and assessments on the website, which is marketingfunnel.website. And I've got 2 books as well. One of them is, as I mentioned, Paternoster Marketing, which is the continuously moving elevator. That's what it's called. And the other one is called Content is a Conversation. You can download that for free from my website. I don't want money out of it. I just want to get the message out there. So stop being a busy fool, because I've been there for years and years. So I know how some founders are feeling.
Absolutely. And we'll have those links available down in the show notes and the description for everybody. Laura, what are you looking forward to most in the next year? Are you launching anything new? Are you building and scaling? Or are you kind of continuing through, doing all the things that have been working for you already?
I would say that I would love to systemize what I've built with the Paternoster Marketing, either through a course or through like an in-house training for companies, because I think they would benefit from it more. Unfortunately, I did have a Ferrari brain back when I wrote it. So it is very dense, that book. So it's just a word of warning. It's not an easy bedtime read. It's more like a manifesto, but it does hit home. The other thing I'm doing is in 6 months, I published 3 books, but I'm writing another one, which will be a part of a course. I already have the website. It's called the Like Me Moment, and it's all about, well, I think you're going to like it, Chris, because you're against the hustle. So it's all against the gurus and the lies of the gurus. And the idea of the book came to me when I was reading a book, and it annoyed me so much that I was literally raging to my AI agent about it. Every single page, I was like, how can this guy just be like so stupid? How can he tell them if they wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be millionaires? What on earth? So that type of thing, that's a manifesto again against those easy buttons that never existed. It's just a lie. It's more like a wake-up call, but it will have marketing elements in it, of course, but more about the journey of building a successful business and building your revenue without falling for the hype.
Absolutely, and it's really important because I'm finding that a lot of business owners, they're just trying for that overnight fix. They've been told a lot of lies. There's misconceptions out there. It's important for us to be the leaders and share the truth about what to expect, just so that everyone knows what they're going to be getting into.
Exactly. The truth is not always comfortable, to be honest. I would love that easy button to be there. I would press it 24/7, but unfortunately it's not.
Right, absolutely. Laura, if you had to go back and start over and do it all again, what would you start to do in the first 30 days of restarting your business?
I think what I would change, I think I would start with the system. So I would systemize it. That's all right. So if I started again, I would build a system before I try to hustle. I try to do the activities because other people did tell me to do. I think that would be the main thing I would change, and be a little bit more vigilant about who I want to work with. So being aligned with your clients' goals and their worthy expectations is very important. I'm notorious for firing clients. I'm really bad. I do fire clients for like things that, for example, if you spend 4 hours with them on a meeting presenting the plan, and 6 weeks later they go the opposite way, they are fired. I think you would do the same. So especially if they agreed.
Right. That's something we kind of learn, just through the years of experience in business and finding things that align with us and things that don't. But making those decisions can be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not all about the money. It's also about, can I actually make a difference for this client if they don't really know what they are doing, or they don't really know where they're going, or they keep on changing their mind, or whatever they are doing is not working, or if their backend or their support system is broken. I can build shiniest bells and whistles funnel, but if the user experience is crap, I'm really sorry, it's never going to convert.
That is very well said. A lot of great points here. Laura, we appreciate you coming onto the show and sharing your experience and wisdom with us. Thank you again. Looking forward to all your success, and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Thank
I'll
you
be
so much.
listening.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.